Well, hello, Crashing In Podcast, and today I am joined by Louis de Prince. I hope you all enjoyed the last episode I've done with The Good Water. If you haven't checked that out already, after this podcast, go check it out. But that's obviously if you're into music along the lines of psychedelic and alternative sounding music. Basically, I guess the people that are listening today are more into grime, hip-hop and just rap music in general. So it might not be your bag, but if you're open to all kinds of music, go check it out. Today I'm joined by another local musician, and it's nice to be interviewing a lot of local musicians recently, because sometimes on the podcast I interview bands from all over, but I've been sticking quite local recently. This podcast was recorded last year, and it was on it was a nice evening for I remember the lighter evenings. I guess it was around late summer, and I remember just wearing a thin jacket, and it's mad, because now we're wearing fit jackets and that still, and we're almost in spring, and I can't believe I have this much material. I didn't realise how much podcasts I recorded. But this is another great podcast with Louis de Prince. We met up at the Sunflower Lounge, a cracking venue, and that was before the change to the look of the Sunflower Lounge, from what I remember. And so it was definitely before September, probably. It was I think he was doing a headline gig, maybe. I'm sorry for not giving you the right information, Matt, because it was so long ago. I don't keep notes of the gigs, to be honest. So there's no footage in that today, but I'm going to play a bit of footage off something that was recorded at the neighbourhood gig that is held at the Night Owl. I don't think I heard from them quite a while, but yeah, kind of stole a bit of footage. Anyone the Wanderers featured on the footage. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed today's podcast. We get talking a bit about how Louis got into music and stuff like that. We talk a bit of Motown and stuff like that, what inspires him lyrically and just in general. So yeah, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and get sharing this podcast and spread the word about the brilliant Louis de Prince. Also, if he's listening, sorry for uploading it so late. So thank you, and I hope you all enjoy. Well, hello, Crashing In Podcast, and today I am with Louis de Prince. You want to say hello?
It's actually Louis de Prince.
Louis, sorry, mate.
Don't worry about it. Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me on here as well.
No problem,
I really
mate.
appreciate it.
So, you want to talk a bit about the gig today at the Night and Sunflower Lounge?
So here we are, Sunday 21st. It's first proper headline for myself. So I've done a few shows before with the duos and before the Worst Guys. But as a solo artist, this is one of the first big milestones, which is just amazing, and it's me and my team more than them. We're joining me throughout the set. Here with Cashley as well, Sugar Ray and S Maverick all joining us for the night. Should be amazing.
Cool, man. So, have you been doing many shows around this summer?
Yeah, honestly, my aim for this year was literally just to focus on building my live abilities and experience, and hopefully get my name out there in that sense. And thankfully that's worked. Ended up getting to perform at the Commonwealth Games, which was pretty mental. And they had a set up in Victoria Square for Jamaican Independence Day. Couldn't have asked for better.
So how long have you been at this, the solo project and stuff like that?
I knew I pretty much always wanted to be a solo artist from when I started it, when I was 13 or 14. I started releasing, I dropped one song when I was 14, didn't really do much again until I was 19, focusing on academia, getting my A-levels, getting my degree. And once I finished with uni, my aim was to go ahead with the music, which is why I started the Worst Guys alongside my mate Joe. And then lockdown hit 2020, which set everything back. But you know what, it was a blessing though, because we still got to release a lot of music, build up our experience, and then from about mid-2021 I started working on my solo stuff, and here we are in 2022.
So, do you want to talk a bit about, before you started doing music and stuff like that,
So who was it in your life that got you into like music?
That's a great question. You know what? It's a really random one, but essentially, two of my older cousins used to make like mixtape CDs when we were younger. One of them was like 10 years older than me, the other one was like 6 years older. So, like anyone, I was literally looking at my big cousins like, yeah, they're the coolest people in the world.
Yeah.
So once I heard my cousins start rapping on songs, I was like, yo, this is cool as hell. I was like, let me try it. And I did, and then I was like, okay, I'm actually pretty good at this, and they were supporting me too. So,
I read like you was into like Motown and all that stuff. Like, do you want to talk a bit how you got into that type of music as well? Like,
yeah, that's all down to my parents.
Yeah.
Like being in the back of my dad's car, he'd be playing loads of Marvin Gaye music. That was like that was one of the biggest ones. I didn't even know that I was listening to Marvin Gaye as a kid. It was just music I was always hearing.
Just
that
natural.
You know, exactly
Yeah.
that. And it wasn't until I was like 14 or 15 that I kind of like revisited some of the things that my dad would show me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, that was incredible.
Yeah.
So listening to like Michael Jackson and so on, that was pretty much the thing that was constant throughout my childhood.
Yeah.
Without me even really like actively doing it, it was just always what was around. And then as I got older, I was like, okay, I actually really like this music for myself. So people like Marvin Gaye, as I mentioned, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, people like The Temptations.
Yeah.
They were huge influences for me as a kid.
Yeah.
And then the hip hop side of things came more from my cousins and my brother mostly.
Yeah. So it's like a mix of hip hop and soul and jazz and shit like that. Like, yeah.
Exactly that.
So like, would you say like that music comes in your music a little bit like?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Like, a lot of the music I'm doing at the moment is a lot more high energy stuff, just because of this current like social media climate.
Yeah.
You've got to find a way to just grab people.
Yeah.
So I'm really going for a lot more high energy stuff at the moment. But once I've established myself a bit further, I will start tapping a bit more into the artsy stuff, which is really what we really try to do with the Worst Guys.
Yeah.
Where we very much set out we were going to be an alternative hip hop group. So
Yeah.
certain songs, such as songs about Platform, is mostly a very like jazzy, soulful beat, and then you've got things like No Celebrations, which fully is a neo-soul song realistically, and then we've got another one in our discography that's a full-on pop song. So we really try to just broaden out and let our influences shine
To
through.
attract more people, I guess. Like,
Well, you know, it was twofold. I guess it was like in our minds we wanted music that was palatable, that people would engage with, but it was also just a case of we wanted to just make things that we were interested in.
Yeah.
It might not necessarily be in the vein we would stick with, but we were like, we like this sound. Let's just make it. Let's be creative and see what happens.
well, I think I've been told by loads of musicians like do it for you type thing, and that like what you like doing it, do it for like the way you want it. Like,
Yeah, I think you're bang on. I think that's the biggest thing because it's a trap to make things that you think people want to hear.
Yeah.
Because you're just entering a saturated market already. There's nothing that's going to make you distinct or stand out from anyone else in the crowd. Whereas if you are just letting your influences and your passion shine through, there's going to be somebody that will resonate with.
it's like when you get signed to a record label, they're controlling you and what to do and that. So I guess when you're independent, you can just do whatever you want, really. Like, so let's talk about your latest track that came out in July. Is He Real? So, do you want to talk about it lyric-wise and what was it like recording and stuff like that?
Yeah, so lyrically the song was kind of me just thinking to myself, I want to display my competitive spirit, show people I'm serious as a rapper. This is me flexing my lyrical chops, so to speak.
Yeah.
So a lot of the lyrics are braggadocious, hostile or aggressive, but it's mostly just a case of me asserting myself as an individual, essentially. So there's a lot of eeriness that went into the artwork and the promotional stuff that we did. I wrote a really long poem basically talking about the idea of Narcissus having to engage in, for want of a better word, insecurity.
Yeah.
So the Narcissus story being all about him being obsessed with himself. Obviously the word narcissist coming from that.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd like to flip that and look at the idea of, rather than it's being obsessed with yourself because you admire yourself, it's an obsession with yourself because you believe in yourself, but you're also aware of how time ravages you as a person.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing fed into all the motivations of making Is He Real?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make an absolute statement of intent, and I think I did that. Recording it was hell. Like, all love to my friend Andrew. He's an amazing producer, Lord Andrew, essential part of the More Than Them collective. But one of the reasons as to why he gets things so incredibly well is how meticulous he is with the details. So there were parts where I would literally have to record like certain line by line, just to get the perfect like delivery. So even though I can rap it in full, no problem. There's a difference between a performance and a recording, of course.
I guess, yeah.
So he was very meticulous in that, but he produced it, engineered it, helped me record the process of it, has additional vocals on it as well. The process of recording I don't enjoy very much, but
Are you a more live act type person? Like?
very much so.
Yeah,
I'd much rather do what I'm about to do tonight than record in the studio.
Yeah.
I'd go performer first, recording artist second.
Yeah.
But when you're working with people who are phenomenally talented like he is, you get great results, and it's a blessing.
It's a great record, by the way. I love it, man. And that's what got me in touch with you. I like the record. I always look on what's on and stuff like that, and I was listening to your music, and I just really liked it. That's why I got in touch, man.
I really appreciate it. Honestly, I was like, that's out of nowhere. But I saw the post that you shared. Was it Tuesday? Might have been.
Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, oh, this is really dope. This is a great thing. Just see someone who's engaging in the community and the scene. So I was like, that's awesome. That's a good message. Thank you.
I go by like my own taste in many ways. Like, I listen to the music and stuff like. If I like it and stuff like that, I'd like to give it a post and stuff like that and put it out there and that. And I listened to yours and I liked what I heard, and I was like, I post it, man. Like, so then I thought, like, I want to get you on a podcast because rappers, I only had one rapper on my podcast so far, and I'm like, I need to get more rappers on them.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing, because I think a lot of rappers in the scene can be very insular to themselves.
Yeah.
They're very much, I need to be the hardest, I need to do this, that, and the other. So they get all the visuals to it, but then they don't engage with anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I get to do something different.
Yeah. So, like, let's talk about upcoming music. Like, have you got anything upcoming, like an EP or an album or man?
So for me, I think it's a bit too soon for an album. My main focus is more singles for this year.
Cool.
I am working towards an EP. Ideally, it'll be a 6-track one, but I don't want to talk too much about it just because it probably will change as I'm still making it.
Yeah.
Pretty much the entirety of the set that I'm doing tonight is unreleased, so some of them probably will feature into the EP, but not all. I just haven't really figured out the overall concept. I had one idea that I was running with last year, which was called Trials and Errors, but it felt a bit too cliche for me to stick with it in the end.
Yeah.
But I've got the artwork I want to use for the EP eventually, and some of the themes, but I just haven't really pinned it down yet. But insofar as singles, I'll be featuring on one of our members, Mellow Solis. She's got a song coming up soon called, I don't want to announce the name, so I'll let her announce the name in her own time. We've got a single coming out together for that in the next couple of months. And then as More Than Them, we're going to be releasing 2 double releases in the next couple of weeks as well. So next couple of months more accurately, we're just getting the music videos done at the moment.
Keeping busy and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like, you saying music videos and that. So, any plans in the music videos? Anything you can put out there? What you're going to do? Like.
Yeah. So I don't want to give away too much because the promo should be starting in the next 2 months. But realistically, we just want to get a video that, as every video is intended to, engage with people. We're going to try and get placement on like GRM Daily, things like that, just because we're still building up our social media platform. So naturally, we just need to collaborate with somewhere that can help us just reach more people. Yeah. Because we believe we're talented enough that if people hear us, they'll love it. Yeah. It's just getting people to hear it, you know?
Yeah, true, yeah.
And one of the biggest things of doing music videos, the video itself is amazing to get one done, but the main thing is getting reels that you can post on TikTok and Instagram.
I think it helps, TikTok and that. Like, you kind of have to move with the times and do the things what people, I guess there's like millions of people like on TikTok. So like people could discover your music that way and stuff like that.
So true, because that's the thing for Lek, one of our members, Yonko Lek. He released his song Neo Tokyo, it would have been April, I believe, it might have been May. But either way, he did that and posted one TikTok video, which was actually something simple, like one of his friends gave him a joke glass, didn't tell him it was a joke glass, obviously, and the bottom of it fell out while the water was in it. Yeah. He posted that video with his song as the background, got 1.6 million views on TikTok. As a result, fed back in, and he's done like thousands of streams as a result. So it is, as you said, finding a way to
move with the times as well, man. Like, that's what I've done with my podcast. It's like, as much as I hate TikTok, I feel like I'm just thinking, who's going to see my material and stuff like that, like.
I'ma go gorilla, like the glue, I got you stuck, I don't know who's illa. See me spitting in my guts, so I know you feel 'em. Like you're going on my nuts, what's his flow I'm spitting? Said to kill it is a must, you must know the villain, cause I'm so appealing. I've been drifting like the dust, catching hang time, asking for who I can really trust, cause they say they bring the bros, but they wasn't one of us. Only real brothers get to sit up on the tour bus. Spit pure crud, they want heat, so they called us. Yeah, it could be all of it, you can get torn up, my calm tracks hit like war dubs. No charge, just star maps. No astrology signs, ain't got time for all that. Someone else called themselves king and that's all cap. L when they drop in the crown, so they fall back. I question a lot to know what's real. Saying please don't mess up the deal. If we don't get it, we will kill. Say man down, one shot. Watch out, watch out. If we don't get it, we will ride out ready to kill. I've been training as a spitter, practicing my aiming as a hitter. Relaxing from my brain, become my days and made me bitter. Never seeming painless to my pages to remember. Never been the plainest, being Icarus is dangerous. I'ma take flight off from the day shift, off from the days I've been pacing, off from the days I've been patient. Top boy, but never been complacent. Hot, so I'll never been complaining. And for this magic, I should probably burn like sailing. And you talk to me is basic, wasted. Think about it, it don't even make sense. And it don't concern me less, it's by the paycheck. Can't stay broke and I'll never stay stressed. Had my old bill, they told me stay blessed. Made me soon fix up, now way less. Banging 4x8 for straight reps. Hundreds in the bar to negate stress. Of course, I make bread. Thoughts of war and progress. Can't ignore the process. Stretch marks on the body in the riverbank clip. Still hard on my toddy, but I read the damn click. From the start, had favors coming like I planned it. Had a Ross, gonna set a table when you're empty-handed. I question a lot to know what's real. Saying please don't mess up the deal. If we don't get it, we will kill. Say man down, one shot. Watch out, watch out. If we don't get it, we will. Pride out, ready to kill. I question a lot to know what's real. Saying please don't mess up the deal. If we don't get it, we will kill. I question a lot to know what's real. Saying please don't mess up the deal. If we don't get it, we will kill. I question a lot to know what's real. Saying please don't mess up the deal. If we don't get it, we will kill. I question a lot to know what's real. Saying please don't mess up the deal. If we don't get it, we will. I question a lot to know what's real. Saying please don't mess up the deal. If we don't get it, we will kill. Say man down, one shot. Watch out, watch out. If we don't get it, we will. Ride out, ready to kill. I question a lot to know what's real. Saying please don't mess up the deal. If we don't get it, we will kill. Say man down, one shot. Watch out, watch out. If we don't get it, we will. Ready to kill.
So, like, let's talk about gigs and that. Can you recall your first ever gig, and what was that like for you? Like,
First gig. See, on a technicality, it would be in primary school during assemblies, literally. Because from like year 4, they had me involved in musical stuff because they knew that was where my passion was, which was a blessing. Because I know how a lot of people feel that they get pushed that kind of way by their schools, whatever. I was very lucky, both in primary and high school. I had really supportive teachers who could see my talent and see my passion. They gave me opportunities to do so. So in primary school, I was doing a performance with a song that I wrote. I can't remember what it was about now, but I think it was based around Chinese New Year. Something like that. And the first one after that was when I was like 14. There was this amazing youth centre down in Tipton, which is a crazy thing. Whoever says something great in Tipton, but this amazing youth centre called Conagry Arts Centre, which again had brilliant people working there who were really supportive, and they were always taking part in different festivals and shows around the West Midlands. So one of the first ones I remember, I was opening up for, I don't know if you remember Lamar, the singer. No, this is going back to when,
I don't think so.
This was like, I think he was big in like 2003 or 2004. But
I was too young for that, man.
But as far as like UK R&B went, he was one of the big names around the same time that Blue were big, for example. So yeah, through that art centre, I was opening up for people like Lamar, you know what I mean? So I had some amazing opportunities fairly early.
If I'm honest, I don't remember anything from the early 2000s, stuff like that. I'm more like 60s music and 70s stuff, man. My knowledge on 2000s is not really good, but when it comes to hip hop and stuff like that, it's probably more the 80s/90s stuff. Public Enemy. I love Public Enemy, man. But I haven't got their records.
Sorry, just want to check, is this still alright for you? I know it's getting a bit louder in here.
I think so. I don't know, is there anywhere else we can go? So from your first ever gig, how would you say you developed over the years?
I think one of the things that was for me always clear was stage fright was never really a thing. So thankfully I felt fairly confident on stage from an early age. I think the thing that really changed for me was learning how to engage with the crowd, learning how to get people to go with the momentum of the show, figuring out, obviously that part of that is down to figuring out your set lists, of course, to make sure that it flows in a good way to get people hyped when you need them to be, emotional when you need them to be, and whatever else. So I think the biggest thing was just learning showmanship. It's one thing to be comfortable, another thing for everyone else to be comfortable with you. So I think that's one of my main strengths, I think.
So what is it you love most about gigging and stuff like that?
Oh, that's in the simplest form, it's expression, it's catharsis, it's getting to express everything that I was thinking or feeling when I wrote the song, and bringing that to life in front of people, and like it's impossible to not see the egotistical side of it as well, where it's really awesome to have a bunch of people who are enjoying what I do. And that's an amazing feeling, like no other, that you can just make people feel good. And the big part of that is you're creating a moment for yourself and for people in front of you, and then it's pretty awesome to know that you did that.
So, like, is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Realistically, I think we've covered most things about the journey so far. I'm just excited to see where things take us from this point onwards, because we're 8 months into having formed the collective, and we've done Commonwealth Games, like 15 shows this year. We've got obviously this one coming up. We've got my first headline. The singer in the group is branching out, getting herself more shows as well. So I'm just really excited to see where the future can take us, because I think one of the biggest things that was motivating for us was we're aware of how much Birmingham's lacking in terms of infrastructure, so we wanted to create that for ourselves. And if we're successful in doing that, we've created an opportunity for other people too. So we're looking to put on our own events this year too. At the moment, the dates are being bandied around, but in November we'll be putting on our first proper nightclub event of our own, so we can get into the events organizer space as well. Because I appreciate every promoter who's reached out and helped, but the biggest thing is we don't need middle people. If we can do it all for ourselves, speak to a venue, book it ourselves, promote it ourselves, make that money, reinvest it into other things. You know?
In for future events and shit like that, I guess. So, do you want to recommend, shout out any musicians to the podcast?
Oh, of course, So some of my favourite artists in Birmingham at the moment. Naturally, I've got to shout out Yonko Lek, my homie, and Lord Andrew, the producer of pretty much everything I've made. He's phenomenally geniusly talented. Mellow Solace in the group as well. Outside of the collective, some other artists that I absolutely love at the moment. Creezon, killing it. He's a fantastic talent. We've got the new Consistent. He's got a very unique style, very streets-esque. And he's phenomenal lyricist. Really cool sounds. I really like it. We've got Hunter Bavaro, who's doing some really awesome stuff, working with people like Jack Bagshaw as well. Those would be some of the main ones for me. A few other artists like Indigo Marshall, absolutely phenomenally talented. Taju Lasano as well. And Lady Sanity is one of my favourites. She's been an absolute supporter of everything we've been doing from the start, and she to me is what I aspire to get to in terms of quality of rapping. She's phenomenal. So people like that.
Check her out as well, man. So, before we go, the last question of the podcast: have you got anything inspiring to say to the listeners, whether it's being a musician or just life? I've got my catchphrase. My catchphrase is the dumbest thing ever, but it comes from Dragon Ball Z when I was playing Budokai Tenkaichi 2, I think it would have been when I was a kid. And one of my favourite things I ever loved is that before Goku lets off this super attack, he literally just shouts the words, "If I don't, who will?" And that's something that always stuck with me. I know it was only in a game context, but in a broader sense, if there's something you believe or something that you want in life or something you want to see in the world, don't wait for it. If you're waiting on it, who are you waiting for to make it happen? So that's my biggest thing. If you don't, who will? Cool. But thank you for joining me for a podcast, and hope your gig tonight goes well, and your gig on Thursday will go well as well, mate. And see you later, and we'll keep in touch. Take care.
Thank you very much for having me, bro. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, that was Louis de Prince, and thank you, Louis, for joining me for a podcast once again. It was a pleasure talking to you. And also, for the listeners, just want to say a quick sorry for the background noise. I guess there might have been some parts when it probably was hard to hear the interview, but I guess that's the rawness of the podcast. I'm not really concerned about the sound, the background sound. I'm not all about being total professional. I like that atmosphere of being at a pub or a venue or something like that. It gives it a bit of a vibe. And that was before the gig. I was right, it was a headline gig. I think I got a good memory, to be honest. And I hope Louis de Prince is doing well. And as I said, I'll keep in touch with him. Hopefully we'll get him to do some sort of in-store or something in the future. That's something I need to get sorted. Some rap musicians at Stylish Records. Talking of Stylish Records in-store gigs, the one with Manzoni Garden was unfortunately cancelled. So we're going to be sorting out a date for that very, very soon. But also what's next up for Crashing In and Stay Loose is Freak Out on the 25th of February. I almost forgot the month we was on. And I'm really looking forward to it, like getting back on, like back DJing and doing what I love, and it's going to be a great night. I'm really looking forward to the visuals and everything. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. This is held at the Clarendon Hotel, £3 entry, cheap night out for you guys, and yeah, it's a great night as well. I hope you all. It'd be nice to see you all turn up to the gig. It would be absolutely brilliant. So, for those who listened, thank you for the support. Check out Lou Prince on Spotify, he's on YouTube, and yeah, like, support your local music and support your local venues and stuff like that. I'll see you all later. Take care, and hopefully I'll have another podcast uploaded for you guys next week. And I think next up will be a band called Hey Animo.